Okay, guys, we got another game for you. This one cut from the start, not from the middle of the game, but that ending of the game was mind blowing. Really, if you haven't watched it, go back, check the channel, and please go look it up. I promise not my best job because it was supposed to be a warm up, but it was too good not to actually upload it. Really, that game needed to be out in the open. Okay, so this game we have the newcomer, Sage McGinley, or however you pronounce that, with Omnath, something they have been worked on for a long time. Then we have Kai, or Baeowulfe, whatever, on the same team as Sakashima as last time. We got Ben on the same brew of Thrasios Kraum, and Libertas on Elsha. How was Elsha of the what? Elsha of the Infinite, yes. Thank you, my brain, for missing that out. So, the order of the game is as shown right here. Sage starting, we got Kai second and Ben third, with Libertas as last guy. Shame, because Elsha kind of wants to be at least on the top two, to have more impact, since her winking of a cost reducer and a top is actually relevant. And she needs to get out as fast as possible, she being 5 mana. It's expensive. Omnath being first, Omnath or even the Kraum Thrasios being first will be huge, since they can just drop a dork and they can go from 1 to 3 mana, and the chances of them going to 5 mana on turn 2 are big. They are designed to do that. Kai and Sakashima, they're trying to slow down the game to get a win through those value engines. The players right now are shuffling, some of them have already kept their cards, and they're only waiting for Ben and Libertas to get their initial starter hands, so we can begin this game. Today's games are, at least from what I saw, are pretty spicy. There are some really good plays going on, and some dubious plays, but hey, those are the funniest ones, right? Those are the ones that actually make us want to play the game. Let me wait a second on this. I'm gonna get some water because my throat is killing me after one game. Okay. Here I am. I have returned. Okay, so I believe that Sage has kept her 7, Kai is mulliganing, Ben has mulliganed, and also Libertas is deciding on his initial hand. For all those of you looking at YouTube, you can skip this. I don't blame you. This is mostly time for the YouTube money. Money! Remember, 10 minutes for any video. Okay, Libertas is still shuffling. I'm guessing that he didn't like his initial hand that much. Okay, so that's his 7. Or did he go to 6? No, he went to 6. So even after the... Wow, and Ben is going to 5? Wow, that's harsh. Okay, so... Okay, Kai didn't like his mulligan again, so he's shuffling back. We already have Sage on an advantage, considering that they have full grip. Libertas has 6, and Ben has 5. I believe this is his second mulligan, so he will be going back to 6. Considering that the rules of Commander lets you draw at the start as a first player, that gives Sage a pretty big advantage already. Even more if they have any rock or dork they can drop early, and neither of Ben or Libertas have any way of ramping up. That will give Sage even more advantage. Especially considering that Omnath is kind of slightly broken. and they want to play it as fast as possible. Okay, so Kai decides on his 6, and we are kinda off about this. Let's see what happens on this spicy game. There's multiple style of Winkens, in Elsha trying to go combo-ish, Tymna Sakashima trying to slow down, Kraum Thrasios with a value engine, and I believe also Omnath is kind of like a control value, especially considering what the whole block of text that Omnath does. Okay, so Sage begins the game by dropping a tropical island and saying go. Kai starts his turn with a Goddess Shrine, taking a shock to the face and casting a Hope of Jurapur. That might be open to Tymna turn 2 if he drops another fast mana. Ben begins his turn by pondering what will he do. Not pondering the card, but trading center a mana crypt and saying go. Maybe telegraphing a Hull Breacher a mile wide. Libertas begins his turn by thundering into a ponder. Actual ponder! Wow! I'm not a liar. Looks at the top 3 and ponders what he will do. So keeps the top 3, does not shuffle, and draws 1 card. And drops a mana crypt. Interesting. Does he have more? Oh, he has more. Taps the mana crypt into a Curse Totem, which at this point is not that relevant, only hits the Hope of Jurapur. But considering that Sage and Ben both play Dorks, this might hit them. Also specifically Thrasios, it's getting hosed by this. And it kills one of the Winkens of Ben until he gets that thing off the board. Sage continues her turn by dropping a Taiga and saying go, and passes to Kai. Kai starts his turn by drawing his turn and slapping Ben for 1. Please do not consider these life totals, they are not updated. Only Ben's. There we go, we got 39, we got old, board state, accurate, and updated. Okay, so Kai is going to continue his turn after slapping Ben very hard in the face for 1. Lots of damage. Into passing. Oh my god, that's bad. So Ben starts his turn by rolling a crypt, missing the damage, so he doesn't care. And I believe he dropped the other battle land, the blue-green one, which I do not recall the name. Maybe somebody in comments, or I'll just check it out later on Scryfall. And passes. Libertas begins his turn by playing a crypt, rolling the crypt, and takes a bolt to the face for his troubles, draws a card for the turn, and what will it be? What will it be? What's that? That's an upgrade. At the draw step, targeting what? Probably mana crypt will make the most sense, because Curse Totem is doing nothing, and that will send Libertas way back to the, at least trying to keep to speed with the other guys, except Ben. Ben still has his mana crypt open. With double blue, or for say mana drain or anything, or a double counter with a mana crypt. Let's see what Libertas decides to do. I believe this is on the draw step, but I could be wrong. Because this is main phase, the answer is pretty easy of just tapping it and dropping something else. Oh, it's Curse Totem the target, okay. I don't believe I would have made it this turn unless Sage had something to play. Oh, Libertas even misses a land drop, like Kai, so they're really far behind. Dropping the mana crypt would have probably taken Libertas out of the game instead of the Curse Totem. Okay, so Sage drops a Exotic Ore card and the Bloom Tender, tapping the Taiga and Tropical Island and saying go. Kai begins by untapping, drawing a card, praying for a land, and I believe he missed another land drop. So the point of Hope of Jurapur, I'm guessing, is to have an early beater for Tymna, and also to kind of like lower the power level of Adnos by pinging the Adnos player plenty of times, like 1, 1, 1, even keeping them from casting anything by sacking Hope of Jurapur, especially now that there's no Curse Doctor 1 play. So Kai continues to ping Ben. Life total doesn't really matter this game. This is just about sending a message. And pass the turn. Ben begins his turn with a Mana Crypt trigger on the stack and takes a ball to the face. Draws for his turn and plays a forest into a Kraum. Very good turn 3 play. Very good. Specifically since this is the building up turn and Libertas and Kai are behind, so they want to play multiple stuff on one turn to try to come back. So on combat, he decides to turn the tables and slap Kai for 4 to the face. And passes the turn. Libertas begins his turn with a Mana Crypt trigger on the stack again and misses, so he doesn't get bolted. Draws for the turn, praying for another land. And what's it gonna be? Considering Sage already has Omnath mana on board, it's dangerous. There's still white. Yes, there's white because of Tundra and the Goddess Shrine. Yes. So Sage already has the 4 mana, and they probably want to keep another fetch to crack it with Omnath, so they have the 4 mana trigger on the stack. And cast multiple things. The only issue that's Kraum's on the board, that will let Ben draw cards. But considering that Omnath is such a powerhouse, I will not be against actually slamming Omnath and saying go. Actually, even playing a fetch land and just saying go would not be a bad play in my opinion. That will actually represent lots of mana on that. Sorry, a counterspell. So Sage taps 4 and proceeds to cast Omnath. There's a trigger Omnath on the stack. If it resolves, yep, nobody has answers. Everybody pass priority and Sage draws a card for it. I'm guessing she... Oh, there's a Hull Breacher in response to the draw trigger. Oh, now things become spicy. I expected the Hull Breacher from Ben, considering he telegraphed it so much. But now... Okay, so... Hull Breacher resolves, nobody has things. And the treasure from the card draw denial is put by Libertas in play. That will at least let him be on the game. Would actually also aces Kraum, since now if people are incentivized to play multiple things, it will be Libertas that will be getting the treasures. He really needs to get back into the game. Okay, so Kai actually draws a Darker Waste for the turn and plays the land. Considering he was really far behind, whoa, that's a Dranith Magistrate. Okay, slightly late, considering that Kraum and Omnath, which are the most expensive commanders on the board, aside from Elsha. So it's not really the most effective. At least it will stop all the crazy breach shenanigans if there are. So that's something. Is Kai going to slap someone with that Hope of Jurapur, or is he going to just say go and leave it back as a blocker? Chances are that since he's so far behind, he will pass. But what is he going to do? So far, I believe that this game is an impasse. Ben needs draws, Sage needs draws, and there's a Hull Breacher because Libertas needs the mana to cast Elsha. Now at this point, he needs to get rid of the Dranith that Kai controls. So it's a whole stalemate of trying to do something. Oh boy. So Dranith is not resolved. There's a Force of Will from Libertas, pitching a dramatic reversal. So he misses, loses one of his Wincons in Isorev. And Dranith that's not resolved, which is big. Okay, so Hope is slapping Libertas because he dared counter Dranith's Magistrate. Okay, and I believe that's Kai's turn. Yep, he passes the turn. Ben begins to turn again with a Cryptic on the stack in the upkeep and takes 3 to the face. Funny how we said life total doesn't matter, but now he's at 32, so that mana crypt, the longer the game goes, it might actually hurt him a lot. Okay, so he draws for his turn, and what's this gonna be? So he plays a Prismatic Vista, fetches. Possible plays are dropping a Thrasios, so he already has the 4 mana to activate Thrasios, now that there's no Cursed Totem on the stack. But that's kind of Cursed Totem on the board from a few turns now. But I believe that's actually not a good play, considering that Hull Breacher stops all that draws. Yes, Hull Breacher is a balanced card, guys. Trust. Hull Breacher, except the one they will draw each other. Why? Why are you so broken? Anyway. Okay, so Ben continues his turn by Brain, hello! By tapping an island in the forest and casting a Gilded Drake. Obviously, the target is going to be Omnath. Or maybe a Hull Breacher. Probably Hull Breacher. Yep, the target is Hull Breacher. Okay, so there's a Hull Breacher on Ben's turn. Libertas makes a Gilded Drake token and passes the turn with 4 mana open. Libertas begins his turn by getting bolted to the face by Mana Crypt. Greatest at any cost, right? And drops a Sea of Clouds, his second land in the game. Tapping 4, he proceeds to cast a Smothering Tide. Interesting. Oh, Ben, even with mana open, does not have an answer to it. Interesting. So it's gonna slap someone with the Gilded Drake? Or is there no point for it? There's an Omnath in play. So attacking Omnath is really no point, considering that any land, the first trigger hit gains 3 life through the controller, so it's not really point in slapping with the Gilded Drake. The whole life total on this game is kind of like eh. If you want to shoot someone, probably the target will be Ben, considering that he has a Hull Breacher and a Kraum. Any wheel at this point is backbreaking. So probably the target at this point is Ben, trying to kill him as fast as possible. Okay, so Libertas proceeds to slap Kai, and then gets his Smothering Tide destroyed. The Smothering Tide by Ben's Nature's Claim. Sorry about that, I was disoriented by what the guys were discussing. I try to keep the audio on the conversations on the headphones as long as I commentate. It gives me more insight on what's going on and what are the plans coming up. Okay, so Sage and taps, and there's no mana critic on here on the top players, only on the bottom 2 players, which makes things easier to just keep up with, right? Okay, so Sage has at least 7 mana this turn, at least, on the board. If she drops a fetch land, that would make it 11 mana. Wait, 11? No, wait, 12 mana, because the fetch itself. Wow, that's actually impressive. That's a lot of mana. And Ben already said that he didn't have an answer, or maybe he wanted to get Nature's Claim off his hand by getting a good target and keeping another more versatile answer in his hand for whatever Sage or Kai was going to do. Considering how Ben plays, and we kind of play similar, that's a high chance of a play happening. Maybe even a second Hull Breacher just to send a message. Again, I'm still baiting that one, or I'm getting baited by Ben. Okay, Sage is thinking about what the turn is going to happen. What's it going to be? Is there a fetch for the 12 mana? Or is it still going to be 7 mana? And just destroy someone? I believe... Oh, that's a Git Probe. And who's going to target? It's going to target Ben, I believe. And he will make a treasure because he denies the card draw. And he reveals that he has a Hull Breacher. I did not see this coming. And a Finale of Promise. This was telegraphed since turn 1. This is not a shock. Yes. Okay, so Ben has those 2 cards. Then Sage continues the turn by... What's this going to be? It's only information considering that the Hull Breacher is on the board on Ben's side. And he has another one on his hand, because why not? He has no answers whatsoever. The only possible person that could have an answer will be Kai, since he didn't reveal any free mana. And Libertas already casted a Force of Will, so I don't know his list if he's running Force of Negation, because that's the other card. But chances are low he has it in his hand. But we'll see what happens. Sage then taps Drop and the Taiga for 1 red and 1 blue to cast Snap, maybe? No, it's a 3 mana. 2 blue and a red. Okay, use 1 blue to Chain of Vapor. What's the target? To Chain of Vapor the Mana Crypt. There's a Kraum trigger on the stack for being the second spell of the turn. And then floats 2 from the Mana Crypt, and the Mana Crypt gets bounced to Ben's hand. Okay. Then there's 2 colors floating on the stack. There's no point in bouncing the Hull Breacher considering he has another in his hand. Ben also declines to copy the Chain of Vapor, since I believe he doesn't have any targets he really cares about. Omnath is just recast and actually gives Sage an advantage, kind of. Actually, would it be crazy to bounce Omnath so Sage doesn't get advantage? Bloom Thunder is basically used as a very big ritual. That's interesting. Because also denies the card draw from Omnath trigger, and Ben will get a trigger from the Hull Breacher and get a treasure. Maybe that was a play that could have happened. Another option would have been to what? Bounce the Gildrick. Actually, bouncing the Gildrick was not bad. But then, yeah, Libertas just... No, I don't think he's gonna sacrifice a land just to bounce back his Hull Breacher. It doesn't make any sense. It will put him way too far behind. Even though he has a Mana Crypt, it's too much. Okay, so Sage is still thinking what she's gonna do. Okay, so Sage missed a trigger, missed the... Oh, there was a misplay. Not a misplay. They're rolling back, the mana crit bouncing to instead bounce the Hull Breacher. I still don't think there's actually a good play because he has another one in his hand. So it's kind of like... I don't know. Maybe there's a Pyroblast in Sage's hand. That's why they want you to do that. Ben has nothing to do. Let's see what happens to this. Okay, sorry for those blinks. I was alt tapping around trying to see if I could get Sage's audio. Okay, so now I have the audio from the conversation. So Bloom Tether's tapped for the 4 mana. The complete 4 mana. There's 2 blue, 2 red, a green, and a white floating. So that's already 6 mana. And then win 1 red, and a green and a white. And casts a Wheel of Misfortune, which I don't remember very well. A Wheel of Misfortune. Each player chooses a number 0 greater than another player, reveal those numbers, determine the higher or lower, reveal this way. This damage each player who didn't choose the lowest number discard in hand and then draw 7 cards. Actually, ouch. Discard their hand and draw 7 cards. Ouch. But doesn't really matter because this game it's all about smacking people and getting value. Left total doesn't really matter. I believe it's only Kai playing black with a Nos. I don't believe he plays Peer. But I don't believe they... I don't know if they play a Nos in Sakashima Tymna. I'm not really familiar with that list. I should really research into that. Okay, so Sage continues by casting a Mystical Tutor in response to the wheel and then miscasts the Mystical Tutor. Then Sage's response with a Swan Song, giving Libertas a bird. He already has a Drake, a 3/3 Drake, and a 2/2 bird. Then Sage continues with the Mystical Tutor. She gets an Intuition, and here is when the Hull Breacher is gonna cast his own. Very high chance that Sage already has an answer, or because she knows about it. She knows about it with the floating red. She might Pyroblast the Hull Breacher. Let's see. Sage is still fetching for the Intuition. So there was a mistake that Sage didn't realize that was a Hull Breacher. Okay. So Sage does not have a Rail Blast or a Pyro. And so Hull Breacher resolves. This damage equal to the... So the players are discussing what the life total they're gonna pay, so they don't have to wheel and basically nuke their hands. Yeah, so the play start right now could be, so they all choose the same number. So so the choices are this. If Ben picks 1, all 3 others need to pick 0. Yes, I believe that's the play. Yes, I believe that's the play. Then Ben gets a whole fresh grip of cards, and Sage is sad and pass the turn. Still not that bad considering there's an intuition in play for next turn, and still a lot of mana. We'll see what happens. So Ben is the one ahead, considering he has another Hull Breacher and a Kraum board. Kai begins his turn by untapping, praying for a land, maybe. No point in playing Tymna at this point, with a Hull Breacher in play. Oh, proceeds to cast a Cabal Ritual for 3 black, and what's it gonna be? Into a Talisman of Progress, a Kraum trigger on the stack. Ben draws, he still has 1 black floating. Into what? Into Plunge into Darkness. Okay. Okay, how many life is he gonna pay? How much life? So he pays 10 life, looks at top 10 and keeps 1. The rest are exiled. It's an interesting card, this one. Some people don't like it. Personally, it's not my own thing, but I respect the card itself. It's really powerful and does a lot of crazy things. It's really good in food chain decks, of course, considering you might exile the other parts of the food chain while you're searching for food chain. So he exiles Archenemy Vapor, Reanimate, Mystical Tutor, 2 islands, a Hollow Fountain, a Grand Abolisher, Brainstorm, and a Mana Bond. It's not really big things except for the Abolisher. With that, he will pass the turn. And oh, Blessed Accuracy. Oh, he got an Underground of the Plunge, and then Imperial Seal. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. At least now he has 4 mana going on, which is important. With this, he's going to get a card, put it on top, vault himself. He's at 15, and there's a Kraum play, even the Omnath. There's a high chance that Kai is not going to survive much longer. Interesting, since he's the only black player. Sad. I want to see Tymna Sakashima do well. I like that combination of cards. Lots of value, lots of stacksy pieces. I like that. Then passes his turn. Ben has a mana creature on the stack, takes a ball to the face, and draws a card. So while Kai is still fetching for a card, so Ben fetches, coaches 26. It's gonna be just an island. Libertas is complaining that if Ben draws a wheel, it's gonna be lights out. It's just going over. Oh, but Ben decides not to make this mistake. Another turn, another game, and proceeds to cast Blood Moon. He's completely unaffected by this with all the basics he has. Kai is gone. He's gone. Sage needs nothing. She still has the Bloom Tender with Omnath in play, so she doesn't really care. As long as Omnath still remains on the board. Libertas is gone. He's gone. And the only chance Libertas has is to top deck an island. Considering he doesn't have a Hull Breacher anymore. Well, he has it in his hand now. And the Smothering Tide was countered. So he needs to get really lucky with his top decks to actually remain on the game. At least it's a Blood Moon, and that will give him options of kind of cast Pyroblast and stuff. It's on his colors, so it's not the worst. Kai is just gone. If he didn't play Talisman this turn, he would have lights out. Kai would have been just out of the game completely without Blood Moon in play. There's a high chance he has basics, of course, but it will take too much time. Kai and Libertas are in the same position, and the Blood Moon is just destroying them. They need to get rid of that ASAP. Sage doesn't really care that much. Again, it's all depending on Omnath. So Ben continues his turn by slapping Kai for 7, trying to end the game ASAP. Okay, so he blocks Kraum and takes 3, goes to 12. Wise decision, because he needs time. So Libertas has a mana creator on the stack, misses, so he doesn't get shocked. He draws for the turn and proceeds to go to combat. And swings 5 at Ben with flyers. Goes to 21, I believe. Yes, 21. And okay. What's Libertas gonna do? Because he's realized that it's 2 mountains, so he might be able to do something. So Sage begins his turn by untapping and drawing the intuition that she got from the Mystical Tutor. And what's it gonna be? She has all mountains, but a fully charged Bloom Thunder ready to roll to cast that intuition. Is it gonna be intuition for triple basics? That will be kinda sad. What will it be? There's still the issue. Actually, Blood Moon does more things than it seems to hurt Sage, aside from turning off her lands. Well, turning off her lands is big, considering that there's no double trigger for Omnath, so she can't get the 4 mana extra. That hinders her plans a lot. It's all bailing on the Bloom Tender, staying alive, or Omnath on the board. So she proceeds to combat phase by slapping Ben and saying go. Makes sense considering she has intuition and she only needs to wait until Libertas' end turn. Kai begins his turn by slaughtering back the Hull Breacher. Smart. But he can... Wait, that's one of progress. That's suicide. That's literally suicide. He cannot pay for the black. Interesting. So it's about going with a bang? Will Ben have an answer to this? Is it gonna happen? Is Kai gonna go off as a martyr, committing Sudoku for the boys to try to keep up the game going? Nope. So Benz decides to force a will pitching at Training Grounds, one of the value engines for Thrasios. Okay, so considering that Slaughter Pact got countered, what's gonna be Kai's turn is gonna be pinging himself for 1 and pondering. Okay, there's a Kraum trigger, so Ben draws a card, and Kai... So Kai doesn't even get to draw because Hull Breacher and Scries. So the Slaughter Pact played a double game of trying to get rid of Hull Breacher and also to continue his game plan. Okay, so Ben begins his turn with a mana on the stack, takes 3 to the face, So he's at 13. His life total is dangerously low. So he draws for a turn, and how is he going to stem the bleeding? Plays a breeding pool. There's a blood moon, so he plays it untapped. Considering that they all lose their abilities and become mountains. Then taps 2 for the mana crit and a blue, and casts a Ristic Study. Oh my god! Wow. Wow. So he goes back and with 1 on a red casts Dockside. Ugh. But actually that's not that bad considering he gets 2. Wow. It's only 2, so it's not that bad. Okay, so he has 1 colorless floating from the mana crypt, then taps the so green and colorless and a red, so it's okay. Now it's the Ristic Study to basically put the final lock on this game. Wait. Sage has something to do. Say about that. She taps the Bloom Tender for 4 mana and casts Intuition that she revealed a turn ago to the Mystical Tutor. So all lights are right now on Ben, since he's the only one basically playing the game. What's gonna be what Ben's answer? So he taps Train Center for a red? No. There's the joke of Training Center. No, it's Training Mountain because of that one. Oh, Intuition resolves. Ben actually lets us go. I'm guessing it's a typical thing of you don't counter the tutor, you counter what you get from the tutor. Also gives information to Ben about what's gonna be the next turn for Sage. Sage targets Kai with Intuition to choose the piles. It's gonna be LED. I believe it was Wheel, LED, and Breach. I don't think it's Wheel because it's a whole Breacher. There's no point in doing that. Okay, so it's gonna be LED, Breach, and probably Brain Freeze. No, Sabines. Doubling down on the whole Omnath stays in play and she's still in the game. So if Benz decides to just bounce the Omnath or just Elemental Blast or anything, it's kind of game over. So Kai gives Sage the LED, one of the riskiest play, because her play basically will be play LED and recast Sabines from Graveyard, targeting the Underworld Breach and trying to go off. And that's the Pyroblast of the Omnath, sending Sage to the Shadow Realm basically. Libertas gives the joke of saying that Ben has it all, but considering that he got wheeled for free, he has a Kraum and all that stuff. So Libertas draws after rolling an even to the mana crypt trigger, so he doesn't lose any life. Things are looking pretty sour to the boys. Ben is basically the Archenemy this game, and they're trying to beat him with anything. Ben doesn't even swing with Kraum, knowing that taking 5 will get him to 8. That's a dangerously life total. Dangerously low life total. Is he gonna pass the turn with Jetta? Oh yeah, he passed the turn. Sage untaps with triple mountains and Llanowar Elves, basically. A fancy Llanowar Elves. And draws a card. What's gonna be? What's gonna be, Sage? Can you mount back from this? What's gonna be? So she's considering what's on the graveyard and what she can do. There is always the option of 1.104.3a, which is a player may concede at any point in the game. Things are looking very bleak, so I will not blame them that they say like, no, it's Ben's game. Even Libertas is saying, yeah, we're kinda dead. And it's looking pretty bad. What are the chances of them getting away? First, they need to get rid of Hullbreacher. That's the ASAP. That needs to happen now. Ben needs to protect the Hullbreacher since it's the only thing keeping him kind of like locking other people away. Ben still has 3 cards in hand. And he's the only one with color mana untapped in that island. So Sage declines to continue her turn and passes. Kai untaps the Talisman of Progress and draws. What's gonna be? So Kai's considering really heavily conceding and pass the turn. All this talk about conceding is harsh, but it happens. So Ben rolls for the crypt and does not get bolted, which is basically the boys' hope that Ben will die to his own crypt. So Ben proceeds to cast a Windswept Mountain and tapping a green and a blue. Is this Neoform with Dockside? Oh, just cast Thrasios. And slaps Sky with a Hullbreacher for 3, putting him to 8. So one of the best draws that Libertas can have now is drawing a Pyroblast to get rid of Kraum. Draws a card after not getting bolted. Oh, there we go. Oh, he draws an island. Oh, okay. Libertas might actually be in the game now. He might actually do something. I mean, he needed a break. Libertas needed a break after a really harsh game. This has not been a good showing for Elsha. Going last and not drawing lands really destroyed his plans and did not let him keep up. Both Libertas and Kai not drawing lands when they needed it really hurt them. So Sage goes to her turn drawing after Libertas keeps 5 mana open. No double blue, so no Force of Will hardcasted, even though it's already his graveyard. So taps Mountain for a Soul Ring and pays the 1 Futuristic Study. Why not? Considering she tapped out for the last turn. I will... so the options are to cast LED, but I will give Ben a card. So there's an option of Libertas casting the Hullbreacher that got bounced, and he's thinking about it. So the options are, the thing is that the moment that Libertas taps out for Hullbreacher, then Ben can activate Thrasios for 3 cards. And also counter the Breacher? Or just straight kill it. It's gonna be Lightning Ball that he just added for this game. And then, okay, so Libertas decides to cast Hullbreacher in response to the Heuristic Study trigger. And Libertas pays for the Heuristic Study trigger. And Ben decides to mana drain the Hullbreacher. Sage just says like, no, nothing from me. And Kai pays 3 for a Hullbreacher of his own. God damn, this is spicy. There's a Heuristic trigger on the stack, and Kai decides to pay it. Oh boy. So the stack is Hull Breacher, Mana Drain, Hull Breacher. Nothing else. The stack was cleared of the Ristic Study triggers. Okay, so Hull Breacher is going to happen. Unless Ben digs really hard with Thrasios, whatever. Yes, so he decides to activate Thrasios once, having 5 mana open with a Scry. Does he like it? Nope. Keeps it on top. Commentates that it's interesting, but it's not what he needs, and draws a card. Reveals a Force of Vigor, which is kind of pointless at this point, and puts it in his hand. All the stalking makes me thirsty. Then passes priority on the Breacher from Kai. The Breacher resolves. There's a mana drain still targeting the Breacher. They all pass priority on the Breacher. And Ben has a trigger for Mana Crypt on the stack. And then there's still the Soul Ring with the Ristic Study trigger, and Sage declines to pay, and Ben decides not to draw from that, since Ristic Study is such a broken card that it says you may draw a card. Then Sage continues to turn by what? Even fancy is that there was no Kraum trigger from all this. That's actually crazy. Ben still has 5 mana open, but if he had a counter, there's a very high chance he would have countered the Hull Breacher, so there's no point. Hull Breacher at this point stops Ristic Study and Kraum, so there's a high chance that Kai will die this turn, or at least he's gonna get slapped for 4, lowering his life total to a dangerous 3. Are we gonna see the Lightning Bolt play? Is it going to happen? In this case, what could Sage do? She has an LED on her hand. But I don't know the other two. So she has red and green. With LED, she can get blue or white. This is all to get Omnath into the board, just so Bloom Tender can actually become a powerhouse. But obviously there will be no trigger because Hull Breacher. There's 2 Hull Breachers. Her graveyard is completely stacked. It's insanely good graveyard. There's a Sevines and a Breach, even an LED on her hand, so she can go crazy. Remember that Ben still has a Force of Vigor in his hand, so Breach will actually work as a Snapcaster Mage and then just die because of how it works. I'm probably even get rid of the Mana Crypt from Libertas or the Talisman of Progress, which will finish up Kai, leaving him with no color mana. So Sage decides the best approach is to pass, and I personally agree. And Kai drops a Time Twister and slams it. So this will mean that Kai and Ben get a stock of treasures. Well, Kai and Ben both get 7 treasures, and then Sage and Libertas decide on which ones are going, who is going to get the treasures from them. And Sage and Libertas have no hand. None of them is going to have any hand. No, none. No one is going to have a hand. it's kind of a really dangerous play because Ben is so far ahead in the board. So Time Twister is good from Ben, it's good from Libertas, and Sage is also good. Yes, so they will all shuffle their hands at the graveyards and just, that's it. None of the players have cards. It's super interesting. And they don't draw anything. That's insane. That's so insane. They don't have anything to do. Well, he can still play Tymna and Sakashima to at least get a life linker. What's going to happen from this? This is actually really interesting. It makes the game even more abusive from Ben's side on this. Hull Breacher from Kai is holding the game back. If Kai dies, Ben is completely unlocked and he will go crazy with Thrasios, Kraum, Ristic Study, and his own Hull Breacher. What would happen from this? So yeah, people are kind of complaining about Time Twister, but it's not the worst player. The question, basically it all boils down on this, on who has more removal to get rid of Ben's, so they can top deck. It's a question of who can get rid of Ben's board the fastest. If it's gonna be Kai's Hull Breacher or Ben's Hull Breacher that will break open the game. Obviously, both need to go for Sage and Libertas to go back in the game. Even Blood Moon. Blood Moon is also a priority target because that will allow them play all their spells. All their deck will actually be open to them back. So there's an argument to saying that Blood Moon is more important than Hull Breacher. It would be interesting if Sage and Libertas, they all give the treasures to Kai, so he gets 21 treasures. And then Ben will get only 7 treasures, and that will actually be destined to what? Thrasios? But it's a Hull Breacher, so there's no really point. Let's see what happens, because Ben's turn is really important and will decide how the game will shape up. His top decks are really important at this point. So Kai gains 21 treasures and Ben gets nothing. Makes sense because they really need to Ben make him shut off for a while. Nobody has a hand, and actually interesting will be to play Sakashima on Hull Breacher, so it makes Ben's top decks worse, but he might be considering Tymna so he can get a double life linker. There's both options. I will probably go for Tymna into a Sakashima targeting Hull Breacher, because you really need to get that thing to stick on the board. He really needs it. Oh, that's the play. Yes. So Sakashima, he plays Sakashima, copying the Hull Breacher for insulation in case Ben gets any removal, and then sacks 3 more treasures for Tymna, considering that's the only viable play, and he has plenty of mana, so that should be a 14, not a 4, but whatever. Okay, that's Ben starts his turn by rolling a crypt, gets bolted to the face, which actually might become a Wincon. Interesting. Because the moment that Kraum slaps Kai to put him to 2, then he gets slapped by Libertas. The stalemate is back on the menu, boys. This is a very interesting thing. Oh, Ben decides to actually slap Kai for 4. Oh, wow. And what's gonna continue with? No, he decides to pass turn, risking the 5 mana, the 5 damage slap from Libertas. So Libertas begins his turn by mana crypting, not losing any life, and drawing for the turn. Oh, he drew something. He actually drew action. He taps mana crypt for plasma creativity, so that gives him double blue. At least it gives him double blue. It's not the best. He will also want white to cast Elsha, but it is what it is. So he declines to pay for the Ristic Study because there's double hull Reacher, so chances are Treasure will go to Kai. He checks out that Ben doesn't have any flyers and slaps Ben for 5. This is actually big because this will mean that Kai can go on the offensive and make Ben lose a lot of board. There's no way that the double hull breacher from Kai can die with a swing. Interesting. Ben cannot lose 2 life, or mana crit might kill him. Wow. This game became actually interesting. Then, because the moment that Ben is gone, Kai's at 2 life, so Libertas just like swing in with the bird and kill him. Huh. This might actually go the distance of Sage and Libertas facing off against each other. This might actually happen. Wow. Okay, so Sage passes her turn after drawing, and Kai untaps with a plenty of mana, plenty of creatures to swing with. So Ben has 3 blockers and Kai has 3 attackers. And they need to block. The problem is Kraum needs to die. It's very interesting. This stalemate is very interesting. How is it gonna break? Because either Kai or Ben are gonna die in the next turn. Very high chance that Kai is not going to untap next turn. He's too low and Kraum is gonna slap him. But if Ben does that, then Libertas kills Ben, as I said before. And that will mean Libertas and Sage will face off. This is actually very interesting. Meanwhile, Kai is deciding on what will happen. What's the card that he drew, and if he's going to swing. This was why one of the plays was Sakashima and Tymna, so he could swing with both and gain 4 life going to 6. And will let him survive a Kraum attack. So Ben is at 5. There's a mana crypt. If Kai removes any creature, he might make the game go. Oh, he goes to combat. Okay, what's gonna happen? He swings with Sakashima Tymna and Tymna at Ben. Why? Interesting. Probably the blocks are Thrasios on Tymna and Dockside on the Sakashima Hull Breacher. No, sorry. Yeah, and those are the blocks. He gains 2, goes to 4. And what will happen? And then passes. So he might not do. Okay, so Ben begins his turn by rolling a mana crypt, and he needs to roll even to not be threatened. Okay, so he needs to roll even here. and top deck and Nature's Claim to not die, or any bounce to bounce the Mana Crypt. And he rolls and rolls uneven. Okay. He's still not out of the woods because there's 5 damage from Libertas. Continue, he draws for the turn. Okay, what will happen? Draws for the turn. What did he draw? He needs a bounce. Oh, goes to kill Kai. What's it gonna be? Does he have an answer? Oh no, Kai's just dead. That means there's no Hollow Breacher anymore. And Bane can go crazy. But the problem is, he needs to survive this attack. Libertas is just praying for the spice. So he reveals Deflecting Swat is useless against attackers. He's really digging for answers for those tokens. For the token, Bird token and Gilded Drake. Activates Thrasios a second time and puts it on the bottom. And reveals a Worldly Tutor. This can actually make it work because he can Worldly Tutor into a creature and then activate Thrasios again. I believe he has. Let me check his list real quick. Well, not now. I don't have it open. I have it in the same browser, so I can't. Does he have a flyer? I don't believe he has a flyer in his list. I believe the only flyer he has is Gilded Drake, probably? No, I don't believe he has anything else. So he needs to keep digging. I think he needs to keep digging for a bounce. To bounce his Soul Gilded Drake to his hand. So he can Silver Muse to untap the Kraum. He can also Baron. But okay, so he decides to crack a treasure for Holy Tutor for Silver Muse. Then he will probably pay 4 to activate Thrasios and cast Silver Muse, which will let him untap Kraum and survive. Unless Libertas draws a removal, which can still happen. Oh, he just brainstorms. Okay, he still has brainstorm. Okay, puts 2 back and the Silver Muse in his hand. Taps the Mana Mountain and 4 treasures for the Silver Muse. And I believe that's his turn. Yep, then he passes the turn and untaps all his creatures and lands. Libertas takes 3 for this Mana Crypt. Wow. Then let's see what Libertas draws. If he draws a removal, then Ben is out of the game right now. But if not, he can still make it into a Mana Crypt. What's gonna happen? What did Libertas draw? Oh, he doesn't know. He's just like checking it out. Heart of the Cards. Heart of the Cards? What is it? Okay, so he slaps. Is he gonna slap Ben? Okay, he slaps. Yep, he goes to 3, which is pretty interesting. How are they gonna get rid of thing? They have a Silver Muse, and he has a Deflecting Swat. Yeah. Okay, so he goes to 3. The chances are that he needs. The chances are that Ben dies are low, considering he has Thrasios and the Silver Muse. So that's 2 activations, 3 as Desperation. Desperation for reveals a land, then activates Thrasios again, puts it to the bottom, and reveals a Burst of Paradise, which does nothing, and activates a 3rd time because he really needs the answers for this. Scratch the top, puts it to the bottom, and then reveals a Veil of Summer, which does nothing at this point. There's what? 2 more scries that he can get before he dies to his own mana crypt. Even then, it's still a 50-50. Yeah. Oh, what's gonna happen? So he can get 1, 2, 3 steel activations. That means at most 6 cards left that he can get. Okay, what's gonna be? Here we go. Okay, so he activates once, goes to the bottom instantly, and reveals a Kid Prof. Useless. Activates again. What's gonna be? Scries again. Bounce to the bottom and reveals a Spell Snare. Useless. He needs a bounce spell right now, or a Nature's Claim to survive. Goes to the bottom and reveals. Then what's gonna be real? Wait, no. Okay, he reveals similarly. Okay, here we go. There's still a chance of Nature's Claiming with a Mana Crypt trick on the stack. This is the key part of the game. He might still make it. It's a 50-50 chance. Reveals a Dispel, nothing. He needs a Nature's Claim to survive, for sure. Reveals Chain of Vapor. Too late. Yes. Remember, he can still survive. Then taps 4 for a scry. 1 last activation of Thrasios. Goes to the bottom and reveals. And reveals. Okay. So, this is it. What will happen? He needs to roll even. He did it last time. Will he do it again? I don't think he's gonna need to roll again if he survives this. I never expected this game to go to this point. So he survives! That's huge, because now he can Chain of Vapor his own Mana Crypt. He's alive! That's insane! Wow, this is insane. Such a good game. Wow, it went to the wire. It really went to the wire. Wow. And now just Ben goes off trying to do crazy stuff. Now becomes the slow march of Ben's creatures trying to chip off at Libertas and Sage's life total. There's absolutely no fear right now of Ben dying through his own Mana Crypt. Even a Lightning Bolt will not make it because he has both his commanders on the board. And he has triple blue, so... he has triple counter in his hand. There's no way he was gonna die this turn. Libertas ends his turn, and Ben proceeds to just go off with Thrasios and Super Muse, activates once, there goes the Nature's Claim that he was looking for, and destroys his own Mana Crypt, also getting 4 life, so he goes to 7, and 100% now, there's no chance of Ben dying to it. So, Sage and taps, draws, plays a Scalding Turn and passes. Ben in Hand Step, just scry, then goes on. Yeah, and the writing's on the wall. Libertas just concedes, and cEDH also concedes because they have no hand, they have no mana, and Ben has everything on board. Insane game, going to the wire of a mana ball, mana creep trigger. Wow, that's pretty crazy. I not expected another game, another crazy game tonight. Going whole place. Too bad Kai and Libertas drew pretty badly, but hey, at least Kai managed to do something. Libertas also managed to do something. Too bad they couldn't play all the whole decks. But that was a really, really spicy game. Wow. I'm really, really proud to have been able to watch this and commenting to you guys how this amazing game went off. Hope you stick together, because there will be more.